Hello, everyone, and welcome in. My name is Bryce Koon. Will Manis is coming along shortly, and tonight we're talking SEC, the must-watch games that you need to be tuned in to here in 2024. We've got three apiece. It's our top three games that personally, in our opinion, not for fact, in our opinion, that we are excited to watch take place, and then some honorable mentions, and we'll talk about what is going to be an action-packed SEC slate here in 2024. That and more on tonight's episode of The Crowded Booth.
Pile in here and make yourself feel at home. The Crowded Booth is coming on. The Crowded Booth with Bryce Koon.
Well, happy Wednesday, everybody. My name is Bryce Koon alongside Will Manis. John Burns already in the chat. Make sure you get your like, you're subscribed to the channel as well. And if you're watching over on social media, those people are filing in as well. Will, we talked ACC on Monday.
Definition of rent-free right there. I'm going to put it out there. Definition of rent-free.
Definition of rent-free, John Burns. Jonesy already in the chat. Auburn. He says Auburn won't be in any. Remember, this is personal opinion. I've got a shirt that says, and it's Saturday night in Death Valley. You know there's going to be a couple of games with the LSU Tigers that I'm excited to be at this season. And then, Will, I know you're going to have some as well that, you know, you're cautiously optimistic to watch take place on the football field. But it's going to be a lot of fun. Ralph, unfortunately, Ralph sometimes says that people from his work watch. If they watch, get the man out of training. I mean, what does he need to train for? I mean, that's what we're trying to figure out. But hey, we appreciate you watching on YouTube, and if you're listening after the fact over on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you might be getting this. But let's lock it in and let's load it right here. TriStar already with a great comment. Tennessee will beat Oklahoma in the SEC Big 8 Challenge. They might.
Hey, it's funny. TriStar.
That's actually that's a game I didn't even put in mine, but that's a good game.
No, but I asked you before we went live if you messaged them to let them know we're gonna honor the Big 8 tonight.
Yeah, honor the Big 8. Yeah,
Big 8, the Southwest Conference, all of them.
Maybe we'll see. We will see. All right, let's rock and roll here, Will. First off, we're going to go through the games. I'm going to let you roll through your three first. Now, we are not overlapping. I let Will pick three. I picked three that I'm excited to see personally, a vested interest in. And then there's a common theme with mine, common theme with Will's too. Not really. Will's are all three different. I'm proud of you, Will. You chose three games with no common opponents. There's no redundancy in your picks, which is solid. Very solid. I'm glad that you did that. So
it just kind of seems like if we talk about one, you know, there's no sense to talk about the same team twice. I think we kind of learning from Monday's show a little bit.
Yeah. Well, no one wants to talk about Pitt and all those, you know, ready. I'll let you hit it. Will, you better have
game of the year. I don't even have to put it on my list because that is game of the year. That is the most pivotal game on Auburn's schedule in 2024. Auburn against Vandy. Pivotal game.
That's a word that you could use, I guess, to describe that football game. All right, Will, we're going to let you rock and roll. You're going to go first. Let's see what you got here with game. We'll start with your game number 3. We'll go 3-1.
We'll go 3-2-1. All right.
Yeah, 3-1. So
game number 3.
Walk me through this.
We're just going old school rivalry. Texas A&M. You know, this is look who's here.
Look at the guy in the dark over here making his appearance. Ralph, get your games in. We'll welcome you here in a little bit. Sorry, continue.
Well, Ralph's down there saying no, so we may not get to him. Texas A&M. This is a game that, unfortunately, the last round of conference realignment took away. I mean, this is one of the, and I think I say it's underrated now because of the fact that we haven't seen it in what, a decade. I think people have forgotten how intense and how great this rivalry is. So this is fun. I'm looking forward to see Texas A&M again. You know, Texas A&M, I don't see them as being a huge player on the national scene this year, but they can certainly play spoiler. They have a schedule to do it. In this game right here, playing Texas, there will be nothing sweeter for them than to ruin Texas's national championship hopes. So, you know, they'll need some help, I think, to ruin that. But, you know, they've been sparring all summer already. I mean, it's been fun to see on Twitter, the two fan bases going back and forth. So I really can't wait for this game to finish off the season.
this is kind of one of the pluses of conference realignment that we get this game back because it's been so long since, what was it, 2012 when Texas A&M left and joined the SEC. So we haven't had this game in over a decade. That's huge. Like I'm really excited to watch this football game. College Station is going to be rocking. It's going to be a great atmosphere. And like you said, Will, these two teams, in heated recruiting battles right now during OV weekends. They're obviously in heated debates on social media, and then these two teams just don't like each other. And we haven't been able to see this in so long. So I'm excited for this matchup. I think, what time of the year does this game take place?
I believe, let me see here. I believe it's week 13.
So is this the final weekend of the regular season?
Yes, final week of the regular season, week 14. So
I got you.
Texas A&M will certainly be looking to play spoiler.
Yeah. One thing that was kind of a topic of conversation down here in Baton Rouge was LSU kind of loses. They don't really have a true rival that they're going to be playing the last weekend, so they actually lost A&M, and LSU is going to welcome Oklahoma to Baton Rouge that weekend, which will still be a fun matchup to take in that Thanksgiving weekend. And TriStars says yes, going to be there. And Jonesy, we're not doing non-conference games, unfortunately. But that's Will's game 3. I like it. I like it, Will. Texas A&M. I'm going to ask this, throw this out here. Is Arch Manning the quarterback for this game for the Longhorns?
No, barring injury. Because I think Quinn Ewers, I think he will be in New York come the end of the season.
I like that. I'm not against them. Not against that at all. I thought you were going to say the number 1 quarterback taken in the draft next year. Still,
no.
Would be interesting to follow.
I think that guy will be in New York at the end of the year too.
Yeah, well, I've just been told he's not any good. So,
I've heard that all year.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot. So, all right, that's what we're kind of rocking and rolling with this one, right here. Will's game 3 is Texas at Texas A&M. We're going to get to some of these comments right here. TriStar is going to give us a ton of comments. LSU will beat Dr. Death, Steve Williams, another installment of SEC Big 8 Challenge. Oh, wow. Texas A&M will decide the Southwest Conference. I cannot wait for TriStar. TriStar, can you please stream NCAA CFB 25? Because Will and I will watch it. Because I want to watch. I would watch you stream this. I don't watch a lot of people stream video games. I would watch him.
We know TriStar. First thing he's going to do is realign conferences before he even plays the game. He's going to be fixing his conferences.
I can't wait. I cannot wait to watch that. All right, that's Will's game number 3. Will, you want to split off here? How do you want to do it?
Yeah, let's split off. Let's go with your game 3.
All right, my game 3, which is for a lot of people the first game overall when you look at this conference. Georgia at Alabama. The last time Georgia went there was 2020, I believe. What was that, year number 7 of Stetson Bennett they had in Athens? So they go there. It was a great game for a half, about 2.5, 3 quarters. And then that eventual national champion Alabama team, Mac Jones, they started to really spread the ball out. I remember watching that game and vividly remembering one of the ridiculous receivers they had that year. I think it was Devontae Smith that made this catch, but they're like, Alabama's on their own 8-yard line, launches the ball down the field, busted coverage. Alabama ends up winning the game. I believe it's like a 45-20 final back in 2020. So I like that. Georgia, Alabama. Look, I mean, there's no divisions. This is obviously feels like a de facto playoff game to get to Atlanta now, Will. We get to see what a Kalen DeBoer Alabama team looks like against a premier opponent. And I can't remember exactly when this game is set in terms of the schedule for Alabama.
Week 5, September 28th.
So I know they go to Wisconsin before that. That's going to be a fun atmosphere. But this is somebody coming into your own house. It's the first chance to really defend home turf against somebody, and we'll see. We'll see what Kalen DeBoer is made out of. I think Georgia's going to be very, very good this year. Top 3. I think they're a playoff caliber team, obviously. We have not come out with a way too early preseason rankings, but I think it's between them and Ohio State for number 1 in the country, if you're just looking at talent on paper with what they have. So I'm excited for this game. Georgia and Alabama going to be must-watch TV. Unfortunately, no night CBS kickoff. It's going to be on probably ABC, which we'll be able to get past, but I will miss the CBS jingle and all that. But yeah, that's Georgia, Alabama for me. I like
you can probably hear that when Alabama plays Wisconsin.
That's true. That's true. Any thoughts on this game? Obviously, anytime these two teams match up, you got to watch it.
Just classic Auburn fan griping about Alabama. The scheduling preferences are insane. Not only do they get to host Georgia, but they get a bye week the week before. So go ahead and pencil Alabama in to make the playoff. And also going to gripe. That's going to prevent Auburn from the opportunity to have a home night game, because I guarantee you they're going to pick Georgia, Alabama over Oklahoma, Auburn same week. And looking at the schedule, Auburn probably won't get a home night game. So, go ahead.
Don't forget this.
The playoff.
The SEC is going to get the ABC 8 p.m. kickoff, but also the ESPN 7 to 7:30 and the SEC Network one. So you might get one. I haven't looked at the rest of that schedule.
Sure, on SEC Network.
Yeah, you might get that. Jonesy says on BET, it'll be interesting. Seeing Georgia offense flat, but they will be a contender, he says. All right, we say we got one star up there too, so we'll see. But that's my game 3, Georgia at Alabama. And this is just, we're not saying, for a lot of people, this game right here is the one they have circled that may be number 1 or 2 in their list. This is my number 3 game that I'm going to make sure that I'm in front of the couch for to watch this one. So we're not in front of the couch. I'm on the couch in front of the TV. And being in front of the couch wouldn't do anything for me in terms of watching it.
On the floor.
Sit on the floor. Yeah. All right. Will's game number 2. Will, let us have it.
I already mentioned it. Oklahoma at Auburn. Now, this is not really being a homer. It's more so the fact that Oklahoma has never been to Jordan-Hare Stadium. In fact, Auburn has never been to Norman, Oklahoma either. So this will be the first on-campus matchup for both of these two teams. The only 2 times that these programs have played, funny enough, was both times in the Sugar Bowl, 1972 and 2017. Oklahoma won both of those games. So Auburn got to do their best to not make it 3 in a row. But first road game for Oklahoma in the SEC. Very tough draw for them having to come to Auburn, especially with all the excitement coming out of Auburn this summer. And hopefully Auburn, you look at Auburn's schedule, they should be 4-0 heading into this game. Conference the week before that against Arkansas. You like Auburn's chances there. So sure to be a really, really good environment for Auburn. Auburn, especially if they come in 4-0 and hosting Oklahoma for the first time. Oklahoma coming off that game against Tennessee. So, they could be riding high, or they could come limping in, which, in the past works well both ways for Auburn. But I think it's going to be a fun matchup and fun to see Oklahoma on the road for the first time in the SEC.
Yeah, look, this is a chance for Brent Venables to get his feet wet in terms of, like you talked about, they're going to be hosting Tennessee the week before. Ralph has circled this game since about January, saying, here's your chance for a big win for you Freeze at home against Oklahoma if you can do that. It'll be interesting. Dr. Bob, with a comment of the night already. I remember walking around on New Year's Eve in the French Quarter in shorts. Did you have a shirt on, Dr. Bob? That's all I need to know. And seeing a bunch of drunk OU and Auburn fans stumbling around prior to the game. That's good stuff. They clearly don't know how dangerous New Orleans was / currently is.
That Sugar Bowl still leaves a bad taste in my mouth, because Auburn should have won that game if Sean White doesn't break his arm. I think Auburn wins that game.
All right, Rob Barefield, which a lot of people know who Rob is. Will, do you know who Rob is? Do you know what Rob does?
I think you've mentioned it to me before. Yeah,
Rob, great friend of the show. Rob's a referee, actually. And so he has seen a lot of these teams already through the spring games. He goes, seen Auburn, they're a crapshoot, disorganized bunch. Source, that's why the Will doesn't get any more games after that blasphemy, Jonesy says.
Well,
Oklahoma, it's a personal take. It's a personal take.
Right. But, going back to Rob's comment, not surprised at all. Not surprised to hear that they're disorganized. A lot of new faces there. So, we'll just have to wait and see when the games get here. Thankfully, they've got a lot more practices to go.
And then Gavin says, you don't know nobody, Rob. Okay, well, there's that. All right, I'm going with my game number 2. This was one that I was in attendance for last year. This was one of the craziest atmospheres I've ever seen. And you talk about a stadium that only seats, and Ralph, you can correct me, I know you've been there before, around 55, 60 something thousand. Like, I don't think that Vaught Hemingway is going, it's not necessarily up there in terms of attendance. I believe it's less than 70,000 and what the capacity for that. Ralph can throw that in the private chat and let me know. But, when we look at LSU Ole Miss, one thing I have learned since moving down here, and Will, you've even kind of alluded to this, is that if you're in the SEC West, Ole Miss is that pretentious, little brother, the country of the country club that no one can stand. You can't stand losing to them. And like we've talked about, and Ralph says 66,038. They couldn't find 2 more seats to get up to 40, apparently. But Ole Miss has become a team that they're entering into an era of Ole Miss football where this has never happened. And they've got a rich history of players, but in terms of success, Lane Kiffin is bringing them into a space where they haven't been yet.
Yeah.
So
they haven't been here in 50 years, you think, at least?
Maybe I will say this. I don't ever want to disgrace what happened in college football. To me, this matters more because we've never been in an era of college football where it's more important. So yes, you're right in that sense. When you look at statistically numbers, I think this, just means a little more. No pun intended with the SEC conversation. But, start just kind of talking Ole Miss there. That game last year, Ole Miss wins on the final play. It was a nuts game. That's where Jaden Daniels got absolutely plowed through by an Ole Miss defender and fumbles the ball. Stadium was rocking. I'll never forget, I'm standing on the sideline as Chris Hilton drops the pass for LSU. Daniels throws it in there, about 40-yard pass he drops that would have won LSU the football game. Fans come pouring over the side of the stands. And the best part about it, there was probably this kid between 10 to 13 years old. By the time I got to around midfield of the opposite end zone, he is halfway up the goalpost, shimmying up the goalpost. And so Ole Miss fans are amazing. Ole Miss fans are really, really, I think that it's very, very interesting. I think it's interesting. So I like it. I like it. I don't know what's happening in the comment section. I'm choosing not to look because I hadn't even talked about LSU yet.
I'm reading them. I'm seeing Ralph's reactions to reading them. So I'm
all right. Well,
there's
here
too
we
many
go.
Distractions.
And Ralph did confirm. I did know this. Record attendance was 66,703. Ralph Rainman Leary there in the background for us. We do appreciate that. But we as we continue to talk about this game, and I'll throw it to you here in a second, Will. I mean, Ole Miss's roster is probably one of the more talented rosters they've had in 20 years, and in just terms of on paper what they bring to the table. LSU, we don't know what the defense is going to look like. I don't think it's going to be a top 30, top 40 unit. I think they could be top 50, top 60. I do think that this offense is going to be good. Garrett Nussmeier is, while he has not played a lot, he's a gunslinger. I think you're going to see a lot of offensive fireworks like you have in previous installations of this game. This is going to be in Death Valley. I don't know if you saw the SEC came out with the schedules because ESPN allows you to release game times way before, which I do like that. But what I will say is this is going to be a night game in Death Valley, which is going to be unbelievable. I can't wait to be a part of that and have fun.
Yeah, defense optional in this one for sure. This is week 7, October 12th. Go ahead, write in pencil. Don't write it in pen, but that might be my best bet, the over for this game, because I don't see either of these teams having a defense that could stop the other one. I mean, they might push 100 points combined in this game.
Yes.
But it's going to be fun. It'll be fun nonetheless.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting game. Rob says night game at LSU is insane. Yeah, one of the best atmospheres, if not the best atmosphere, in my opinion, in the country. Let's keep it rolling. This is going to be a shorter show tonight, not a full hour's length, which is okay. But I don't know what's happening over here. TriStar says LSU versus Ole Miss winner gets more funding for infrastructure. LSU just needs it for their library. Dr. Bob, are you going to be at the LSU Ole Miss game? Dr. Bob also, we'll just throw this out. Dr. Bob lives like 5 minutes away from me now. So that's that. And Dr. Bob's a good fellow. So, Will, game number 1 for you, my friend, before we move on.
Game 1.
My game number 1.
Georgia at Ole Miss. This one for a couple of different reasons. I can't remember when this game is. I'm trying to find it real quick. It's early. No, it's late season, isn't it?
I believe so.
I think this will kind of start to separate the SEC this game because if they're playing this week, I'm taking Georgia and taking Georgia by a lot. Similar to what I was saying.
November 9th, by the way.
Ooh, November 9th. So we might kind of already have an idea at that point who's going to Atlanta.
Yeah.
Although both of these teams will be, I didn't say I loved Iowa's offense. I don't. Go find the clip of me saying that, and then I'll believe you that I said that I love their offense. What'd you say? When did you say this game was?
November 9th. Same. That's quite a slate, by the way. Georgia at Ole Miss, LSU at Alabama.
Oh, yeah.
Alabama at LSU.
Yeah, big slate of games for this one. You'll see Ole Miss, I think, knocking on the door at this point, but I think Georgia will put them away and keep them from going to Atlanta, and really start to separate. Even though it is November, we'll start to see we'll know. We'll have a better idea of who's going to Atlanta by this game, and I think it'll be Georgia. I think Georgia's just too strong on both sides of the ball. But another game that'll be fun. Ole Miss went to Athens last year and struggled mightily. I think they won't struggle as much being at home, but I think it'll be mostly the same story. But it's always fun matchup, a lot of fun to talk about. Kirby Smart versus Lane Kiffin. So the SEC's given us another year of it.
Yeah, no, this is going to be a lot of fun. I mean, Jackson Dart struggled in that game. Lane Kiffin was very complimentary towards what Georgia was able to do. I think this is a game where Ole Miss could really stamp the Lane Kiffin era as we are not just a middling team that's overachieving. We're a legitimate national title contender.
Yes.
I think they're already a playoff contender heading into 2024, but I think that they could be a title contender if they could win this game. And it's going to be interesting.
And I like that you say that. They've got opportunities to really make that mark, make that stamp. They host Oklahoma this year. That'll be a big opportunity for them. Do they avoid that? They have Ole Miss, obviously. Did they play Alabama? I think they avoid Alabama this year.
Who's this, Georgia?
Ole Miss.
Oh, Ole Miss.
Looks like Ole Miss does. I think they do miss Alabama this year, which has been their Achilles heel the last couple of years. So this is a big one. This will be a bigger game for Ole Miss than it will be for Georgia, I think. But Kirby Smart's going to have his guys ready and have them convinced that everybody thinks Ole Miss is 3 touchdowns better than them. Agreed.
Shout out to Carson Minton. Remember him, Ralph? He just followed me on social media. Assistant Director of Marketing at the Citadel. He's watching the show tonight. Appreciate that. Yeah, I had no clue that he was doing that job. That's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. Gavin says Colin Hurley, who is the LSU QB, Bruce? Garrett Nussmeier, the son of Doug Nussmeier, a longtime coach. TriStar says, I knew you were a Yankee sympathizer, Will. Loving Iowa's offense. What's next? You going to say that you hate Waffle House and sweet tea? Waffle House employees for president. Key to success is on one tonight, and that's Danny's son. No. Okay. Game number 1 for me. Georgia, Texas. I was talking with great friend of the show and friend of the Georgia Tech fan base, Palmer Toms. We were talking about this tonight. I don't know if I'm allowed. I'm not going to say everything because they're doing really something special with Dogs HQ and On 3, where it's going to be this amazing road trip they had out there. I'm just going to spoil because not a lot of Dogs HQ subscribers are watching our show anyways, but they're going to take an RV, okay, that their staff, Rusty Manziel, Jake Rowe, a bunch of those guys, and Palmer, they're going to live stream college football, the new college football game, on the way from Athens to Austin. It's going to be a full week affair. That's going to be a lot of fun. And look, this game, I thought last year that this is the game I really wanted to see heading into the college football playoff. I wanted to see Sark against Kirby Smart. I think Texas is going to be interesting to watch this year. I'm not as high on them as I was last year. If you remember, I penciled them into the playoff last season just because I'm concerned about the defensive line they lost and the defensive line coach, and Bo Davis, who was a really, really good coach. He's now at LSU. But what I will say is, this game, Georgia going out there, well, we've mentioned this, and we've mentioned Georgia in 3 of our games. Like, this schedule they have is crazy. I mean, they're going to be playing at Alabama, at Texas, and at Ole Miss. Like, that's nuts. So for Georgia to go to Austin, I know a lot of Georgia fans that are excited about that trip out there. This is going to be a premier game. And I think Georgia does not go. I mean, we talked about, best case scenarios for Georgia this season. I think they could go undefeated. If they go undefeated, give them the national title, though, because that schedule is just ridiculous. But my personal opinion is that this game is going to be one of those that could be an instant classic. I'll just say this, probably two. I don't want to disrespect Jackson Dart. I love what Jackson Dart brings to the table, but I think this is probably the two best quarterbacks heading into the 2024 season in Carson Beck and Quinn Ewers. I won't spoil what you're going to talk about, but I will say this. I think we believe both of these guys will be in New York at the end of the season, and maybe one of them wins it. So we'll see what happens, but I'm excited to watch Beck go against Ewers. Great coaching, Stark's, offensive scheme against what Kirby Smart wants to do. I think it's going to be a fun football game, and I think it's going to be an instant classic and one that a lot of people will, for at least one night, they'll forget about the worries of conference realignment because it gives us a game with the quality of Georgia versus Texas.
Yeah, but then they'll remember it because this could be unprecedented. We could see these two teams play each other 3 times this year. Like that is not off.
Most definitely. No, yeah, most
not
definitely.
Off the table. And I'm happy that this game is being played on campus because in this era of college football that we're in, we're taking games off campus, and that's kind of the norm now. And I hate that, but I would like to see these two teams play with a little bit more on the line than just a regular season game. Like this, It's gonna feel like a playoff game. So I don't see either of these teams. Probably they could still both be top 4 if they both make the SEC championship game. They could. So they both might not be able to host a playoff game, but Texas gets pretty close with this game because it's gonna feel like a playoff game. But you have a game number 1. I don't disagree. I think it's probably 1-1. If we were to pick games as a draft, I think this will be 1-1.
Yeah, no, I like these. I like those. They're good ones for sure. We're going to take a quick break, and when we do, Will and I've got some honorable mentions because I saw a comment earlier had one of them, and just some games we're excited to watch. I think each of us will kind of flip flop here with what we have going on. We'll be right back after this message.
Your soap is ugh, and your body wash is a synthetic detergent, but you're not a dish. You're a man. Switch to Dr. Squatch Natural Soap for Men. For men who build things. Open pickle jars on the first try. Slay dragons. And let their daughters braid their hair. Men who like to feel good and smell. Titillating. Dr. Squatch takes you places you never thought you'd go. Naked.
Jonesy says, take a break. When we come back, we will no longer be talking, just sitting there. Jonesy, I took my shirt off on Monday night. If you need to see that again, you just let me know, pal. All right, let's talk here, Will, because we have some honorable mentions, and 3 games is kind of hard just to rank. But look, this slate for the SEC is going to be nuts, and I've said this multiple times. Conference realignment, people are going to hate it at certain points. What you're not going to hate is that week in, week out, there's no drop-off of a game. The SEC is going to provide that with the quality of games at every single time slot. So let's start with kind of the first one. Will, if you put it in there, you talk about it, or you lead off with it. If I put it in there, I'll lead off with it.
All right. Well, I'll go ahead and tell you that's not going to work out great because I think I forgot who put in what. But I do remember this one. Florida at Texas. This game, and I should have been better prepared. Jonesy, you can tell me how unprepared I am, like you'd love to do in the comments. Florida goes to Texas as I'm sitting here trying to find it. I can't find it. But Florida, we know they have an insanely difficult schedule. It's ridiculous, like you said. But I'm excited for this game just because it's 2 blue bloods. It's getting to see 2 helmets hit each other that we don't get to see all that often.
This is November 9th, by the way, too. So you have Georgia, Ole Miss, LSU, Alabama, Florida, Texas.
Yeah, crazy slate. And this might be the noon kickoff because, unfortunately, Florida will be limping and just, I think, hoping for the season to be over before this one. But, to see that Gator on the side of the helmet hit another helmet with the Texas Longhorn on it, it's going to be fun to see. We haven't seen it a lot. 2 classic uniforms, classic programs, just getting to play each other.
I like it. That's a good one. Florida, Texas. Will Billy Napier be the head coach when this game goes around? I don't know.
I'll have to research.
Florida is not a blue blood. This is an interesting conversation.
Very.
I understand the logo that you have on your profile picture, TriStar. I think it's an interesting debate. I think there's an argument that Florida is a blue blood, and blue blood doesn't mean recency bias. That's interesting. Interesting conversation. When will Florida change their mascot to the Iguanas with the way that they play? Key to success is on something, and Napier will be the OC at LaGrange High School. Just no love lost there. All right, Will, let's just move on. Oklahoma at Missouri. You got another one right here.
Okay, this was me. Another is this Big 8? Is this an old school Big 8?
TriStar will let you know here in about 3.7 seconds.
Another November 9th game. I mean, this might be the most loaded weekend in the history of SEC football. Two old Big 12 teams going at it. Hadn't seen these two play in a decade, so that's I like seeing different teams play each other, so that's why I'm excited for this game. I think we're gonna have two really good teams here. I think Missouri is going to be strong like they were a year ago. Oklahoma, we'll have to see, but it's going to be fun to see these two match up.
I think Missouri is a playoff team this year. That schedule is super manageable. They're going to welcome Oklahoma. Do you remember, was it the Big 12 title game when these two teams played against each other? And it was Chase Daniels as the quarterback, he's like an all-time backup in the NFL, by the way.
Was that Texas?
Who was it? Was it Texas, Missouri, or I'm going to look and see.
Yeah, but yes, because I think Oklahoma and Mizzou were both in the Big 12 North. Texas was Big 12 South.
Okay.
So I think Texas, Mizzou, but that was an all-time conference title game. Was that 2009 when Texas went, or 2000? Yeah, it would have been 2009, I think.
I think it might have been 2009. I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about that game. Or something. I don't know.
There it is. See, 2007. Yes,
07. Yeah.
I think I'm thinking, was Texas, Nebraska 09? Is that the one I'm thinking of? Yeah.
09 was Texas, Nebraska.
Dr. Bob. Dr. Bob, Stats and Info. He's here.
Yeah, he's doing a good job.
Both of them, just all-time conference title games. Big 12. I want to say I missed the Big 12, but they're still around.
Yeah. I like it. They are still around. Different look. Oklahoma, Missouri. That's a good one. All right, let's move on to the next one. And I think this is you too, Will. So you just keep carrying it with Alabama at Oklahoma.
For once, Alabama has to go on the road and play somebody. This is rare. Again, interested to see. I like this one because of the timing. If I can find when this game is played, of course, I never can remember. I should have put what weeks these games were.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like the way the SEC website is making it difficult to see when these games are played. They have it by week.
November 23rd. This is the week before Thanksgiving. So this is right before the Iron Bowl for Alabama and right before Oklahoma comes to LSU for Thanksgiving weekend.
Probably a bigger look-ahead spot for Alabama, I would think, for the Iron Bowl, no matter what they want to tell you that they don't view Auburn as a big rival, which is just malarkey. What does Oklahoma look like come the end of the season? I think if they want to finish strong, they're definitely going to have this game circled. They'll be ready to play.
Yeah. Is Jalen Milroe still the starting quarterback for Alabama? At this juncture of the season, that's going to be something we have to kind of watch. Will maintains that he's not a quarterback, so I can't wait for our hottest takes because that is going to about mid-July, early July. We're going to hit us with the hottest takes entering 2024, and it's going to be interesting. All right, next one as we continue to move along here. Another honorable mention of a game we're looking forward to. This one's for me, Egg Bowl. I mean, Jeff Lebby led Mississippi State. I think it's going to be a tough year for Jeff Lebby in Mississippi State. I think he's the right hire in the long term. But this game's always nuts. And we talk about an Ole Miss team that is going to, by this point of the season, gone through a tough stretch of the schedule. If they beat the Georgias of the world, they beat LSU, you're pretty much going to roll into this game primed to be in Atlanta. And while I still think Ole Miss can make it without going to the SEC title game, you can't lose this game. Because if you win it and you get to Atlanta, you're in the playoff. If you lose and Mississippi State's around a 5-6 team or a 4-7 team at this juncture of the season, this is where, for me, is going to be very interesting to watch. Mississippi State's going to be fighting for a bowl berth, or they're going to be fighting to spoil the season. And a loss to Mississippi State is going to be a black eye on the resume of Ole Miss heading into this one. So, the Egg Bowl is always a fantastic game. I'm really, really pumped to watch this one.
Egg Ball's my favorite. They should keep this on Thanksgiving night. I think Josh Pate tweeted it. It's the best tweet of the schedule reveal. I think he said, "What am I supposed to do after eating Thanksgiving dinner? Like, what am I going to watch?
Watch the Detroit Lions, I guess. I don't know. I could care less.
They took away Texas A&M from us first. That used to be played on Thanksgiving, and then you had the Egg Bowl at the same time. Now we get neither of them. I mean, it's just
brutal,
national travesty.
Brutal. This will be going. Egg Bowl is always a fun one. Always a fun one. All right, let's move on. I think I got another one here, and we have two more. This one for me, I mean, look, you go back to the game where they had like 97 overtimes, and the final score was like 77-72. This game's always nuts. LSU plays terrible in College Station too. This is another example of where I don't think A&M is a playoff team, but I think LSU could be one. You can't lose this game. Well, I don't think LSU gets to Atlanta this year. You at least you got to win this football game to be one of the top 12 teams. So going to be another fun edition. I'm excited to go experience College Station for the first time. And we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with the Aggies. I'm excited to see. I think it's going to be a hard-nosed, tough brand of football from Texas A&M that their fans will be excited to see. And just a little change of pace from what they've had the past couple of years. But, well, not the past couple. It's 5, 6 years now. So it's going to be fun. And this game is always one of those that's kind of really, really crazy and really nuts. So LSU A&M, that's my final honorable mention.
Yep, it's always weird. I think LSU is involved in more weird games than any other program. Yes. We've talked a lot about Mike Elko at Texas A&M. I think it's a really, really good fit, really underrated fit. And I think you'll see it on full display in this game. You got two contrasting styles. You see that a lot with new head coaches. If they're a defensive-minded head coach, team tends to lean on their defense their first year, and I think Texas A&M is going to do that, and they're going to just totally different from what LSU's putting out on the field.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I'm wholeheartedly agree with you. And that's kind of my final honorable mention. But there's a whole bunch of other games. Well, you got one more that kind of slipped through the cracks. I do believe, though, and I want to give credit where credit's due. I do believe, no, we didn't have anybody. Now, Key to Success did say Oklahoma, Missouri. Don't overlook the game. Should be a fun game to watch. We had those. But this final one, oh, man, this is going to be a fun one, Will.
Yeah, Missouri goes to Alabama. They haven't been there in quite a while, although I do think they've been there twice, I think. I think they went their first or second year in the SEC. They went to Tuscaloosa, and then they made one more trip. But this is probably the best team that's ever going to walk into Tuscaloosa that Missouri's had. This is an October 26th game, so probably going to have a really prime TV slot, although they'll compete with LSU, Texas A&M, Oklahoma, Ole Miss as well. So kind of it'd be interesting to see where this falls as far as time slots. But Eli Drinkwitz gets his first real crack at Alabama. I like Eli a lot. Stands on business. I think we'll find out if Kalen DeBoer stands on business or not in this game. Because this is an odd game for Alabama. They're coming off who are they playing? Where'd they go? They're coming off the Tennessee game. So this is This is what some folks would call a letdown spot for Alabama. We'll have to see. I think, we're going to learn a lot. We're going to learn a lot about what Alabama is. In the past, with Nick Saban, you wouldn't really be worried about this game. But now, new coach, you're paying closer attention.
Yeah, Missouri's coming off a homecoming game against Auburn. Auburn's getting kind of disrespected with a couple homecoming matchups. Georgia's made their homecoming opponent. Now Missouri has as well. But I'm excited to watch this game. I like Mr. Elias. I think that he is a really, really good football coach. He gets the most out of their players, and they are very good. They might have the best wide receiver room in the SEC. That's up for debate, obviously. They might have the most underrated receiver in the country, which Missouri fans were mad at us when we said that. I don't think they understand what the term underrated means. It means he's not getting enough love. We think he should have more. Luther Burden's a freak.
Don't tell a certain particular Auburn fan. I know he's watching, so he's probably laughing at this. Don't tell a certain Auburn fan that somebody has a better wide receiver room than Auburn. Don't tell him that.
No, they just have to actually play games, I think, and that's going to be helpful. Once they start playing games, we can make that judgment call.
How many?
All right, Missouri.
Do they have?
Was Robert Lewis on the team that came to Auburn a couple years ago? I don't know. I'm not sure with Georgia State. But hey, that's a couple of ours right there. And TriStar says Tennessee has the best wide receiver game. Dr. Bob says Mike Elko will have at least one major upset this year.
One more interesting note here. You bring up Georgia State. Vanderbilt goes to Georgia State September 14th, week 3.
Go to the game. We should y'all should you and Ralph should go to the game.
It'll be us and probably 4 other people there. But that's going to be coming off a major upset from Dell McGee.
Oh God!
I wonder how he's going to have his team. If he's going to have them ready to go for Vanderbilt.
Yeah, we can't do this. We can't do this, Will. No, we can't do this because now they've got something to clip when that happens. Now they've got something to clip when it happens.
You know what? You know what's coming. You know what's coming. Clip it.
So you know where I live, so come get some. Like, for real. I'm just gonna be honest, man. Y'all want something done so bad. Come get some. Y'all take care. God bless.
I'm backing Will up on this. I'm backing you up, Will. Let's go.
Okay. No, we're not turning this into a Georgia State, Georgia Tech show. You guys can hop on that one. But hey, no, this is good stuff. SEC has a loaded slate, Will. I don't think we're going to be disappointed week in, week out with what we're able to see just from all of these teams. And I think, Brad Crawford of 24/7 Sports kind of did a breakdown where he had a 5-way tie for second place in the SEC, which is certainly possible. And it's absolutely crazy with how many teams could have like 2 or 3 losses. Trust says you're forgetting an SEC game, Georgia versus Georgia Tech. Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, we'll have to check out Manus Loans for all your information of what you need. 250 there, 250 here, whatever you need. We do appreciate it. And I believe that you have Manus Loans, and I think that if you head into Ralph and I's alma mater, there's going to be people who don't understand what we're talking about right now. If you head into Ralph and I's alma mater high school, into the IT department, I believe there's a loan department in there as well that you can find. So, we'll see. No. We'll see what happens. But hey, Will Manus, Ralph Leary is in the background. My name's Bryce Koon. We thank you so much for watching. Shorter show tonight. Kind of a schedule of events, what we're going to be having. The Georgia Tech College Bowl Revamp Dynasty is going to take place again tomorrow. Will's going to be up in Atlanta. Ralph's going to be driving around, so I'm going to hop on the sticks, and we're going to see if we can go through a stretch of games and try to win a natty before we get there. It's going to be interesting. Kevin says it's called the Lord's Gifts. And that's all the time we have for tonight. That's all the time that we have for tonight. Will Manus, Bryce Koon, and Ralph Leary. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you next time here on the Crowded Booth.
Pile in here and make yourself feel at home. The Crowded Booth is coming on. The Crowded Booth with Bryce Koon.